Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Fabulous Concert Programs number 133, number 11? Yes, 11 of our Pettersson Cycle. And we're dealing with Symphony number 12. Now, Symphony number 12 is a bit of a project. Well, they all are, but this one really is. It's his choral symphony. It's subtitled Los Muertos en la Plaza. It's The Dead in the Square, a poem by Pablo Neruda about the massacre of workers during a protest in Chile in 1946 or somewhere around there. And, well, as you can well imagine, it's typically Pettersson. It's interesting in that while this is never going to be as popular as like Carmina Burana or something like that, it's a very approachable work. It's typically gut-wrenching and intense. It's sort of like the Swedish Babi Yar, if you know Shostakovich's 13th Symphony. Something along those lines. It has several sections. It plays continuously. It's like a big one-movement symphony that Pettersson is used to doing. It takes about 55 minutes. And the chorus is singing the whole time, and it's very strenuous. But it ends hopefully. Well, if not hopefully, it ends, hopefully, actually, with a memory of the massacred and the prognostication of their eventual victory over the forces of evil and oppression. So it's not totally bleak. I mean, it is totally bleak until you get to the ending, but it's very exciting. Pettersson, we're used to hearing him do sort of slow, gradual builds and a generally sort of inexorable but measured momentum. Not here. This thing starts out urgently and it just keeps going. It's extraordinarily exciting. In fact, most of the music that he wrote after his long hospital stay, where he wrote the 10th and 11th symphonies, is actually faster than the stuff that came before, and more urgent and angrier and more defiant. Now, this particular symphony was written for like the 100th anniversary of Uppsala University or something like that. Needless to say, they weren't too happy with what they got. They were expecting something a little cheerier and a little bit more celebratory. Well, I mean, they should have known better, right? This was, after all, his 12th symphony, and they had the evidence of the first 11, or the first 10 of them, since the first was never finished, the first 10 of them, to sort of get an idea of what to expect. But I love this work. It's just thrilling. It really is thrilling. The poem was originally written in Spanish. Here it's translated into Swedish. But it's just a marvelous poem. You can read the entire Neruda poem translated into English. I found it online easily enough. But my goodness, what a terrific work. Of course, you've got to find a chorus that's going to learn to sing in Swedish and all that. And how do you program it? What do you do with it? Well, because it ends loudly, and in the major, believe it or not, and with this choral shout, and of course it ends, with like a probably C major or something. Every chorus has a bunch of sopranos who have these shrieky, wobbly, screechy, laser-like voices that could just peel paint. There's like 5 or 6 of them in every choir, and you save them. You save them for the top notes of impossible pieces like this. So at the very end, they all just screech out on top of it. Oh my God, it's like, as what Anna Russell said, they have voices that can sing so high that only dogs can hear them. But now we can hear them. It's a marvelous work. It is really a marvelous work. And it could actually be somewhat popular. I mean, at least as popular as Babi Yar, which gets played all the time. I mean, it's exciting. It has no dead spots. It's a thriller. Absolutely a thriller. So it has to come second at the end of the concert. It's not long enough to be all by itself. And so, I gave this so much thought. I've got such a cool program. We begin with Thomas Tallis, Spem and Alium, the 40-part motet. Because if you're going to have some huge choir to do the Pettersson, why not do that? You never get to hear it. I mean, almost never anyway. And, I personally think that choral concerts should all begin, it should be a law, that they should begin with some sort of Renaissance motet, sacred work, short sacred work, because they're just like overtures. We never get to hear them. Everyone wants to do the big mass settings and all that, but there's just tons and tons of this repertoire, and it's gorgeous. I mean, by Tallis and Josquin and all those people. You know who they are. Lots of them. And you only get to hear it at concerts by dedicated teeny light little ensembles devoted to that music and to nothing else. And so you wind up having to listen to 2 hours of it, which may be a bit much. So open the concert with one of the damn things. It's beautiful. It's a great way to open the concert. It's uplifting and thrilling. And then the rest of part one, it's only half an hour long, but it packs a big punch. Milhaud's Les Choéphores, the libation bearers. This is the second part of his trilogy of Agamemnon plays. And this particular story, it's Aeschylus, I get, right, as the playwright, right? It's amazing. It's Electra. It's the story of Electra. You know, Richard Strauss's Electra? Well, this is the same story. And it's all compressed into basically half an hour of narration with bits for Electra and Orestes. And then there's the choir and a narrator. And the narrator speaks in rhythmic French over percussion, 15 percussionists. And the chorus screams and shrieks and whistles and hums. And oh, it's so cool sounding. It's only been recorded 3 times. Bernstein did it and Igor Markevich did it in mono. And then recently the entire trilogy, which is Agamemnon and Les Choéphores, it's Choéphores. And the last one, Orestes or Euripides, the Eumenides, It's the Eumenides, the Furies. It's a big 3-act opera. This was actually incidental music to go with a play by Paul Claudel. So it tells the whole story, but does it in a very abbreviated way. And it's fantastic. And no one ever does it. And it makes such a fabulous contrast to the Pettersson, because they're both about the search for justice, right? I mean, that's what happens in the story of Electra, right? Orestes comes back to avenge the death of her father, of Agamemnon. And so you've got this wonderful story about justice and retribution that ends with total, murder and horror. It's a mess. And then you follow it up with the Pettersson, which actually is the hopeful element in the entire program. But it's a similar story, but one is told classical Greek perspective, but with a very 20th century modern, and for its time, 1915, avant-garde kind of approach. I mean, Karl Orff learned a lot from this piece, believe you me, or he should have. It anticipates a lot of what he did. And then you play, after intermission, the Pettersson, The Dead in the Plaza, and you've got just an amazing concert. Give it a shot at home. Trust me on this one. I mean, yes, you got to follow the words. It's going to take some concentration, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.